like? How would it empower teachers? How it would help children learn? Well, it stood by itself as a private entity, so we decided over the last few years that we needed to take it outside of those walls within that school and populate it across our state. And through Dr. Goodnight and several other public-private partnerships, we have been buying laptops for teachers and for students and making sure that we advocate for that across the country. You mentioned where Dr. Goodnight was speaking at the conference, but actually Dr. Goodnight was a few days before that with Secretary Duncan carrying this message about we have to keep education on the forefront of our national agenda, particularly at a time when there are so many competing urgencies. Yeah. And we believe that's one of our core missions at SAS2. How do we keep that in front of not only our government, but as our employees, anyone that we encounter? How do we make sure that they understand why this is so important to them? Because we don't believe that there's an issue more interconnected to our future than that's what happens in education. We walk our talk. The Goodnights made a big decision, a bold decision in December. They took our Curriculum Pathways product, which is curriculum for science, math, English, and Spanish, and it represents actually over 12 years of work and a $75 million investment, and now has made that available to every educator across the United States with no cost. Every student, every educator, homeschooler, community college, and higher ed now has access to that as well.
That is cool. That's amazing.
Jami,
Thank you.
If I might jump in,
Yeah,
I think
go ahead.
Something that Colleen and I were talking earlier, and we realized that all of us are doing basically the same thing. We have so much out there, but what we need to do now is get better at communicating to people what we have,
you know what?
And how to utilize it.
Let's ask, do you mind, we ask a question maybe to the
Please,
audience,
go
and
ahead.
I think Tricia can cue it up maybe. Let me ask a very simple yes or no question. Did you know about some of the programs that actually the previous panelist and this panel has kind of explained to you? Let's ask a very simple question, and then we'll see what the answers are. And in the meantime, while we get that, I know AT&T has some programs. Thomas, do you want to maybe share the one that you maybe feel the most passionate about?
Well, this one I feel most passionate about is one that AT&T had just started in 2008. It's a 4-year program that they put together. It's giving $100 million to help prevent dropout, basically in schools. And the CEO basically said, this is something that I am very much desired to go ahead and do, and I want to go ahead and improve that aspect. And that is a competitive grant that's being offered out there to all schools, private and public schools, to go help improve that.
Yeah. I want to commend AT&T because I used to work there. And second
I
of all,
didn't.
Well, hey.
Can I have a job?
You're not as lucky. But AT&T was on the forefront of doing this work for over 50 years, I think it is. So they sort of started what we are now all in the right direction doing.
We're kind of standing on the shoulders of giants, right?
Pardon?
We're standing on shoulders of giants.
We are
I mean,
definitely standing on the shoulders of
Not just this giant, but just any giant.
So actually, they are sort of the beginners who said, this is important.
Yeah.
We will stick by it. And I think a lot of communities recognize the brand of AT&T when we talk about giving. And
I was an
technology.
engineer before I became a techno dud. I think I mentioned that a little bit earlier. But who remembers Bell Labs?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah? You know what who knows the language C, the programming language? Right? Most of the software world is actually kind of based on all of that innovation that happened at the labs, right? A long time ago.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that. Go ahead. Let's see the answer. I want to see the answer too, and we'll see
what I wanted to add to our discussion is how wonderful it is to be a part of what's happening here in New Mexico. We all have lots of programs, but to be able to be invited and to be received with such a collaborative spirit is very invigorating, especially for SAS, and I know for both of you as well. That's how we collaborate. That's how we validate what we want to do and offer education. And this is such a great place of promise, and I truly believe that New Mexico can be, just like SAS does in other areas, a showcase to really show other states what's possible.
Right.
So well said, Colleen, because it really takes passion, and all of us are passionate about this, and that's what's going to take us to the next step.
Yeah, one panelist was saying, fun is not all. I think it was Dr. Didi, right? Fun was not, I disagree too. I think we need to have fun. By the way, let's look at what was the results there? 27 to 39. So most of you have not necessarily heard of some of those programs. So I think you're right.
The dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened to Microsoft's marketing machine here?
Budget.
Budget, yeah.
But more importantly, I think it's all of us talking about
is,
it and,
is.
and sharing the word, and utilizing the way young people get the information.
Yes,
That's
you're
the
right.
key. So
You're
now, believe it or not, Microsoft, we're using Facebook, we're using Twitter
Oh, I
to get
believe
out the
it.
message.
I believe it. You have to.
Most definitely.
Yeah, otherwise we might all go out of business if we don't start
That's
participating in
true.
those things, right?
Gosh, I hope
It's
not.
pretty amazing. Well, you know, I really appreciate your endeavor and appreciate you sharing some of your thoughts today. And
Thanks for
Louis,
having
let's
us.
strike up the band, and thank you, our panelists right here. Let's bring up the next group.